It's always satisfying to see a police officer getting held accountable for his actions, and things get even better when it's inside a courtroom. Today we'll be showing you some crazy instances when cops got these massive sentences in the courtroom.
When you're at the Border Patrol checkpoint, your duties are to enforce immigration laws and look for terrorists and look for weapons of mass destruction and assist in detecting narcotics. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you do this, of course, you're following a procedure manual that tells you what to do?
Following policy, sir.
Written policy?
Yes, sir.
You have a copy of the written policy?
No, I do not, sir.
Have you ever seen a copy of that written policy?
That states our authority to conduct immigration checks or for the checkpoint itself, sir?
For that checkpoint.
No, I have not, sir.
Are you aware of any written guidelines or policies or procedures on how to run that checkpoint?
I am aware that they're out there, sir.
You're aware that they're out there. Let me get this straight. You're testifying right now that you are aware that there are written guidelines and procedures for this checkpoint?
At the border, the cop wrongfully detained a U.S. citizen. When questioned by an attorney, the border agent struggled to defend the unlawful arrest.
Can you state that question again, sir?
Is it your testimony here and now that there are written guidelines and procedures for this checkpoint?
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
Have you seen them?
No, I have not, sir.
But to your knowledge, they exist.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall on June 1st of this year giving a telephonic statement to Mr. Victor?
I do not recall the exact date, but yes, I do recall a telephone interview, sir.
Do you recall you were in a room with Mr. Katz?
Yes, sir.
I believe there was another attorney in the room who was a representative of the Border Patrol Union?
Yes, sir.
And you were on the telephone to Mr. Victor?
Yes, sir.
And you're aware that that tape recording was being recorded?
Yes, sir.
And were you trying to tell the truth at that time?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember being asked during that statement if you were aware of any written guidelines, policies, and procedures for this checkpoint?
The officer's lies were about to be exposed. A shocking call recording contradicting this previous claim was set to be played in court.
Do I remember that specific question, sir?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Do you remember saying that you were not aware of any written guidelines, policies, or procedures?
No, sir.
Would it help to refresh your memory if you heard a tape playing of your voice?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if I may? Tell me if this is your voice and if you remember being asked this question and given this answer.
And Your Honor, the state's going to object at this point. Was this noticed as part of your trial exhibit and disclosure?
Actually, Judge, this doesn't need to be noticed because it's impeachment, which is exactly how we're using it right now.
Your Honor, the same standard would apply to both parties, the state would expect. Everything that be given in notice to both parties.
Judge, the law's well settled in Arizona. If the defense had to give impeachment to the state of the state's witnesses before the state's witnesses testified, it wouldn't be much of impeachment, would it?
Just as the truth was about to be revealed, a shocking twist unfolded. Desperate to defend the cop's attorney objected to the evidence.
We're simply disclosing the audio tape of the interview that the state's witness, where the state's counsel was present throughout the entire interview.
Your Honor,
I have no understanding what possibly could be the objection to this.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
You may.
Your Honor, Mr. Victor's quite correct under Rule 613B. The state withdraws its objection.
You may proceed.
Just ask this question. Do you have any written policies, procedures, or guidelines on how the operation of that particular checkpoint is to be conducted?
No, to my knowledge, no one. Is there a citizenship, sir? If somebody traveling through there saying some sort of checkpoint, they're U.S. citizens, they're free to go. If they're not U.S. citizens, they say they are not.
Agent Gomez, did you recognize that as your voice?
Yes, sir.
Were you asked the question if there were any policies, procedures, or written policies, procedures, or guidelines for that checkpoint?
Yes, sir.
What is your answer that you were not aware of any?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
State attorney's objection was swiftly withdrawn, allowing the defense to proceed with the audio playback.
To have your testimony correct that when people pull up and you ask them if you're a U.S. citizen and whether they answer yes or no, then they're on their way?
Yes, sir.
So if someone pulls up and you say, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" and they say, "No," they're on their way?
No, sir.
Well, which is it? You just said, if they say yes or no, they're on their way. But then I asked the question a different way. If they said no and you said they're not on their way, which one is it?
Usually if somebody says no, they already have their immigration documents with them. They present that to me and they're on their way.
And do I have your testimony correct that if you are unable to determine citizenship at the checkpoint, do you usually try to get them to go to secondary?
Yes, sir.
Not all the time?
No, sir.
So sometimes you cannot determine citizenship at the primary, but you just let them go.
No, sir.
And now I'm confused again.
The attorney's skillful questioning quickly exposed the officer's lies. The unprepared agent was no match for the legal expert.
You are unable to determine citizenship at the primary checkpoint. That you usually try to get them to secondary.
Yes, sir.
I did not say always try to get them to secondary. Do you understand my question?
Yes, sir.
Usually means sometimes not, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
So is it fair to say that sometimes, if you are unable to determine citizenship at the primary checkpoint, that you let them go anyway?
No, sir.
I don't understand again. If someone comes up and you cannot determine citizenship, you say you usually try to get them to secondary. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Usually means not always. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Like, I usually wear a suit to court, but not always. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now the attorney turned his attention to the real victim, exposing the officer's true colors in a devastating display of legal skill.
So there are some times that people come up and you are unable to determine citizenship, but you just let them go on their way. Is that correct?
No, sir.
And what do you do with them?
I try to establish the citizenship there,
And suppose you can't.
and they go to secondary, sir.
So if you are unable to determine citizenship, they always go to secondary.
Yes, sir.
Not usually, but always now.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Anderson was sent to secondary inspection because of the dog alert. Is that correct?
It was a combination of both immigration and the canine alert, sir.
Okay. So you're saying part of the reason he was sent to secondary was immigration, not the
Yes.
dog alert?
Yes, sir.
But wasn't the decision made to send him to secondary, wasn't that decision made before he ever got to you?
Yes, sir.
And the decision was made, or you got the signal from Agent Spoonamore,
Correct.
before any immigration question was asked.
Correct.
And Agent Spoonamore gave you that signal because his dog alerted.
Correct.
The cop's downfall was imminent. He had been discredited twice previously and was now facing the final reckoning.
So the dog decided to send him to secondary.
Correct.
How does the dog determine immigration status?
The canine does not determine citizenship, sir.
So he wasn't sent to secondary for immigration. He was sent to secondary because the dog alerted.
Mr. Anderson never answered my immigration question.
But the decision that he was going to secondary had already been made, correct?
Correct.
He could have pulled up to that primary checkpoint with a passport in his hand, and he was still going to secondary. Is that correct?
Correct.
The lawyer wasn't finished yet. He exposed and defeated the cop with a forceful statement that silenced him.
Is there any better documentation of U.S. citizenship than a U.S. passport?
No, sir.
So it didn't matter what he said, he was going to secondary
Yes, sir.
because the dog said so.
Because the canine alerted to the vehicle, sir.
Is a canine trained to alert to people here illegally?
No, sir.
So the dog wasn't alerting for immigration.
The cop was brought down by the lawyer's unwavering dedication to justice and the truth. The illegal stop was exposed and the officer was forced to face the consequences of his actions. This officer's arrogance cost him everything. But wait until you see what this next cop did. It is almost unbelievable.
Today is that day. You are not the law. You don't interpret the law. You don't enforce the law. You're not above the law.
In a shocking turn of events, Indiana State Police uncovered a massive embezzlement scheme involving Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knowles. The sheriff was charged for stealing more than $5 million from taxpayer funds.
Date of birth?
12/18/70,
Make you know.
52, sir.
And the last four digits of your social security number? What's your address?
3001 Old Tate Road, Jeffersonville, Indiana.
You have a good contact telephone number?
Yes, I do.
Can the drugs include alcohol?
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand English language?
Yes, Your Honor.
If I say something you don't understand, will you let me know?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Knoll, Special Prosecutor Fertile has charged you with 15 counts of criminal conduct. Count 1, corrupt business influence is a level 5 felony. It would indicate that pursuant to Indiana Code 35-44-1.1-2-1, that on or about a period of time from November the 9th, 2018, and August the 16th, 2023.
The action was taken quickly when Knowles' offenses were exposed. With a startling 25 criminal charges, he was immediately removed.
Clark County, state of Indiana, you did knowingly or intentionally through a pattern of racketeering activity acquire or maintain, either directly or indirectly, an interest in or control of property or enterprise contrary to the form of the statute in such case made for life. Count 2, theft as a level 5 felony. It would indicate that pursuant to Indiana Code 35-44.1, you then personally sold said Hellcat for $83,000, $83,716. Count 4, theft is a level 6 felony under Indiana Code 35-43-4-2A, would indicate that between April the 30th, 2021 and September the 14th, 2022 in Clark County, state of Indiana, you did knowingly or intentionally exert unauthorized control over the property of Utica Volunteer Firefighters Association.
The investigation took a dramatic turn as authorities discovered evidence connecting Knowles' wife, Misty, and daughter, Casey, to the embezzlement plan.
On or about August the 16th, 2023, in Clark County, state of Indiana, you did knowingly or intentionally alter, damage, or remove any record, document, or thing with the intent to prevent it from being used, produced as evidence in any official proceeding or investigation. That being, you factory reset your phone upon the arrival of the Indiana State Police on your property. You, in your capacity as Clark County Sheriff, public servant, did knowingly or intentionally assign to Rodney Walker, an employee under your supervision, duties that were not related to the operation of the governmental agency that you serve. That being sheriff, assigned Walker duties on your personal property, rental properties, father-in-law's property, pole barn, property of Utica Fire Department.
It was a shocking revelation that made people wonder how the sheriff, who was obviously breaking the law, managed to maintain his position for so long.
And count 15. Official misconduct is a level 6 felony. It would indicate that between November the 9th, 2018 and December the 31st, 2022 in Clark County, state of Indiana, you, a public servant, that being Sheriff of Clark County, knowingly or intentionally committed an offense in the performance of your official duties, that being goes to employment as Sheriff of Clark County relating to Brent Fisher. Mr. Knoll, the first 3 counts are level 5 felonies, which have a range of imprisonment from 1 year to 6 years, with the advisory sentence being 3 years and up to a $10,000 fine. Counts 4 through 15 are all level 6 felonies, which have a range of imprisonment of no time in jail if treated as a misdemeanor to 2.5 years in the Indiana Department of Corrections, with the advisory sentence being 1 year and
up to a $10,000 fine. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the potential penalties?
Yes, Your Honor.
As the judge read out the 15 devastating counts against him, Jamie sat calmly. The courtroom was tense as the state attorney argued for his detention without bail.
The next question is usually you intend to hire a lawyer, but you obviously have counsel seated with you. I need to tell you, you have a right to a speedy public trial by jury in this county. You have the right to face all witnesses against you, severe question and cross-examine those witnesses. You have the right to have witnesses brought into court to testify on your behalf. And at your request, the court will issue subpoenas requiring those individuals to come into court to testify on your behalf or bring evidence in. You have the right to have the state prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to remain silent. You cannot be required to give any testimony or make any statements against yourself to anyone.
The court defied expectations by granting Jamie bail, a move that would later turn out to be a serious mistake.
He will surrender all firearms except one shotgun of his choice to Indiana State Police. Being from the country, or as Mr. Wilder said, Washington County, I keep my shotgun with double lock near me, along with my .45, but one shotgun for personal protection is appropriate for him to maintain. Will not leave the state of Indiana without permission of the court, and they'll post $75,000 in cash. Mr. Knoll, Mr. Wilder, I know you want to be released without posting any bond, but it's a unique case, and if you don't like my decision, I'm happy for you to appeal it. It won't be the first time you've appealed me, and the Court of Appeals told you I was right, so I'm happy for you to accept that challenge, if you so please.
The judge, in a firm and decisive tone, made the decision quite clear, leaving no room for doubt or misinterpretation.
You keep one shotgun only. Try to deceive me, you will not like the consequences. Understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then, Judge, the issue of return of all other items, see if we just take them in another hearing.
Well, it wasn't set for today, so
No,
yeah, we'll deal with that at another time. I assume now that everything's going to be unsealed, there'll be a lot of new things brought before the court that
yes, Your Honor.
we'll address in due time.
Thank you, Judge.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing else from us, Judge. Thank you.
All right, we'll be off record. Thank you all.
After police discovered concealed firearms, Jamie broke his bail terms and was taken into custody again. This time, the judge delivered a severe warning.
I told Mr. Knoll, don't do anything stupid. Do not try to deceive me, defy me. You will not like the consequences. Today is that day. You are not the law. You don't interpret the law. You don't enforce the law. You're not above the law. I find that you are in contempt of this court. Take him into custody. No, that's enough. I'll find you guys in contempt for disrupting the proceedings, and you'll be there right there with him.
As the judge delivered his sentence, he took a moment to highlight the shocking fall from grace of the former sheriff.
You know what I think the answer is? 60 days in. That's what I think the answer is today. Now, Mr. Wilder.
Yes, Your Honor.
Or Mr. Boyles, I apologize, Mr. Boyles, your lead. Before he is released, I'll take your suggestion. I want an independent individual to scour that household to determine that there's no further weapons. I find that Mr. Hurdle's original argument that he's trying to make that I sustain, an officer of the law, every time I go into court, I hear, I didn't know it was there. I didn't know it was there. I really didn't. You've heard that a million times. You've heard it a million times, and yet you still take them into custody, would be my guess. Every officer in the world has heard, I didn't know it was there, it's my friends. I'm not buying it. It's your burden, it's your responsibility, and today the court will enforce that. Take it away.
Well, if you think this was pure humbling, watch how this next cop was taken to the cleaners by the jury.
Say AR-15 ever leave the state of Wisconsin, is that right?
Other than the night after, other than that.
Before the shootings?
Correct.
There was a time, though, where you wanted to have it with you down in Illinois, isn't it? It wasn't there?
I believe there was a time when me and Dominic were mad at each other.
You'd agree with me that... Let me back up for a second here. You have testified to this jury that you used deadly force against Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, the man who attempted to kick you in the face, and Gage Grosskreutz on the night of August 25th, correct?
Yes.
And you did that because you felt...
Soleiman stopped on the exit 43 ramp beneath the Campbell Avenue Bridge, where the high-speed chase came to an end.
Telling this jury that it was, in your mind, justified to use deadly force to protect your own life, correct?
Yes.
You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to protect that CarSource building, correct?
Well, I wasn't using deadly force to protect the property. I used deadly force to protect myself. So.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting a metal dumpster on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from tipping over.
Correct.
You'd agree you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting a flatbed trailer on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone who is about to start an unoccupied car on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting some traffic cones.
A trooper shattered the vehicle window and grabbed the knife quickly. But from another angle, you'll see a shocking move that takes this intense moment to a whole new level.
And using it to protect property, correct?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that you're not allowed to use deadly force to protect property, correct?
Yes.
The state's inspector general determined that the shooting was not justified, notwithstanding Trooper Brian North's assertion that he fired to save other officers. On March 8, 2024, during his testimony, North stated he shot Soleiman because he believed the lives of fellow officers were in danger.
Please describe again why you fired your weapon that day.
It was to protect the West Haven officer and Trooper Jackson from the threat of imminent death or serious physical injury.
And you were just shown a series of still photographs that included Trooper Jackson's body-worn camera. Do you recall seeing those?
Yes.
And again, your decision to use force the way you did was based on what?
It was based on what I was perceiving at the time.
Lawyers examined every detail of the circumstances surrounding Soleiman's death during the trial, including police testimony and camera recording.
Who was in charge?
There was no one person in charge.
And who made the decision to break the passenger side window?
It was a West Haven officer, Officer Rappa.
Did that decision change the overall situation?
Yes, once the glass of the window was broken, Mr. Soleiman, it startled him, and he rapidly escalated it.
Prior to the breaking of that window, what was Mr. Soleiman's state?
He appeared to be unconscious and unresponsive.
We watched a video of you interacting with Trooper Richter and Sergeant Kiley. Do you recall that?
Yes.
The prosecution said that North's first statements after the shooting were contradictory, as the officer told Soleiman to put the knife down, despite the fact that he had shot him 7 times.
So we're not trained to reassess after each shot. We're trained to reassess after each use of force, which would be an engagement. So that brief series of shots you would then reassess after that.
And Attorney Devlin had asked you, if I'm quoting correctly, did you fire as many times as you wanted to? My question is, how many times did you want to?
There was no number. It was just whatever I thought was necessary to stop the threat at hand.
And then you use the term reassess. At what point would then you have the ability to reassess?
Immediately following shots being fired.
You were asked questions about the fact that you shot through glass, correct?
Correct.
What impact does firing a weapon when shot through glass have on the shot?
Objection, no foundation.
North admitted that he wasn't trained to assess the situation after firing the weapon. He claimed that his actions were shaped by the reports that Soleiman was armed.
That if that West Haven officer was not going through that window, but was standing outside as is shown in the video, it would not be objectively reasonable to shoot that gun at Soleiman, right?
Objection, Your Honor, that's speculation.
He's asking, he had him read the state police criteria there, and I'm asking him if no one's going into that car, it's objectively unreasonable to shoot the driver.
Can we just do it one step at a time?
Sure.
North was unable to defend the use of lethal force over de-escalation when asked if it was an objectively justified reaction.
Is he guilty or not guilty of the lesser included offense of criminally negligent homicide in violation of Connecticut General Statutes 53A, 55, with which he stands charged?
Not guilty.
Does the court accept this verdict?
Yes.
The jury may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please listen to your verdict as it is accepted in order recorded by the court. You, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, each of you do say unanimously that the defendant is not guilty of the crime of manslaughter in the first degree with the firearm in violation of Section 53A, 55, paren A, paren 3, and Section 53, 55A of the Connecticut General Statutes as outlined. You, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, each of you do say unanimously that the defendant is not guilty of the crime of the lesser included offense of manslaughter in the second degree with the firearm in violation of Connecticut General Statutes 53A, 56, paren A, paren 1, and Section 53A, 56A of the Connecticut General Statutes as outlined.
A Milford jury found Trooper Bryan not guilty on all counts after 2 weeks of testimony and days of discussion. The controversial trial ended with the verdict. Now, if you thought that was intense, the next officer's sentencing will leave you speechless.
As sentenced for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270.
Judge Peter Cahill determined that 4 aggravating factors applied in Derek Chauvin's case, allowing him to impose a longer sentence on the former Minneapolis officer convicted of murdering George Floyd.
What the case is, or what the sentence is not based on, is emotion or sympathy. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge the deep and tremendous pain that all the families are feeling, especially the Floyd family. You have our sympathies. And I acknowledge and hear the pain that you are feeling. I acknowledge the pain not only of those in this courtroom, but the Floyd family who are outside this courtroom and other members of the community. It has been painful throughout Hennepin County, throughout the state of Minnesota, and even the country. But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family.
Judge Cahill stated that his decision to sentence Derek beyond state guidelines was not influenced by public opinion.
As sentenced for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You were granted credit for 199 days already served.
Derek was sentenced exclusively for the most serious charge, second-degree murder in accordance with Minnesota sentencing standards.
Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be decided, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody is currently holding him. Anything for the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.
After being found guilty of George Floyd's murder, Derek Chauvin, a former Minneapolis police officer, received 22 and a half years in prison. Courtroom drama never seems to end. This next judge does something completely unexpected in the courtroom.
Pardon me? That was before the
Don't
defense testimony.
get brazen with me.
Kyle Rittenhouse was put on trial after fatally shooting Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber, while also injuring Gage Grosskreutz.
You indicated that at no time did this gun, this AR-15, ever leave the state of Wisconsin. Is that right?
Other than the night after, other than that.
Before the shootings?
Correct.
There was a time, though, where you wanted to have it with you down in Illinois, isn't it? It wasn't there?
I believe there was a time when me and Dominic were mad at each other. Yeah.
You were mad at Dominic?
Me and Dominic were mad over something.
And you wanted to have the gun with you down there?
I think I said something along those lines.
You have testified to this jury that you used deadly force against Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, the man who attempted to kick you in the face, and Gage Grosskreutz on the night of August 25th, correct?
Yes.
And you did that because you felt that your life was in danger from those four people, correct?
Yes.
And you are telling this jury that it was, in your mind, justified to use deadly force to protect your own life, correct?
Yes.
Many topics were discussed in this case, including the stark contrast of how the legal system treats white people and that of people of color.
You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to protect that CarSource building, correct?
Well, I wasn't using deadly force to protect the property. I used deadly force to protect myself, so.
Please listen to my question and answer my question if you can. You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to protect that CarSource building, correct?
Yes.
You'd agree with me that you were not allowed to use deadly force to stop someone from smashing the windows of an unoccupied parked car, correct?
I don't think you could use deadly force for that.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone from lighting a metal dumpster on fire, correct? Flatbed trailer on fire, correct?
Correct.
You'd agree with me that you can't use deadly force to stop someone who is about to start an unoccupied car on fire, correct?
Tensions escalated in the courtroom when Binger responded, triggering an unexpected reaction from the judge.
Mr. Binger is either forgetting the court's rulings or attempting to provoke a mistrial in this matter. He knows he can't go into this, and he's asking the questions. I asked the court to strongly admonish him, and the next time it happens, I'll be asking for a mistrial with prejudice. He's an
First of all, Your Honor, this was the subject of a motion. I'm well aware of that. And the court left the door open.
For me, not for you.
We did not move
That
to
was
reconsider.
their motion.
We have not filed any
Forgive me.
motions to reconsider in this
Forgive
case.
me. That was their motion for reconsideration, which I denied. But I said I denied it, or I indicated a bias towards denial is what I did. Held it open with a bias towards denial. Why would you think that that made it okay for you, without any advance notice, to bring this matter before the jury?
Prosecutor Thomas Binger sparked fury in the courtroom when he suggested the judge approved his line of questioning. The judge, visibly enraged, dismissed the jury.
I was astonished when you began your examination by commenting on the defendant's post-arrest silence. That's basic law. It's been basic law in this country for 40 years, 50 years? I have no idea why you would do something like that, and it gives, well, I'll leave it at that. So I don't know what you're up to.
May I respond?
Yes.
We filed an other acts motion on this exact issue because, in my mind, and I argued this, it is identical to what was going on the night of August 25th, in the sense that the defendant was using this exact same weapon. He was using it in a manner to try and protect property.
No, he wasn't.
Your Honor, with all due respect...
I'm not going to rehash the motion. That's absolutely untrue. No. Your argument's of record. My comments are of record, and why I ruled as I did is of record. There's nothing that I heard in this trial to suggest that anything's changed, even if you're correct.
What followed were some harsh verbal attacks on the prosecutor. According to reports, Binger's tactics have only fueled the turmoil in high-profile cases.
In your assumption that you know more than I did at the time, you should have come to the court and say, I want to go into this. Why you would think that you could go into it without any advance notice to the court, I don't understand that. And as the defense is pointing out, you're an experienced trial lawyer, and this should not have been gone into.
Your Honor, there have been things in this case, testimony in this case, that I believe opens the door to this. For example, the defense has introduced evidence that the defendant pointed a gun at a man wearing yellow pants because that person was on a car on the car source lot. Now, there's no justification that I can think of why the defendant would point that gun at someone.
The fact that the judge had to keep explaining fundamental laws and regulations to the prosecutor is totally absurd.
May I finish, please? I'd like to have a chance to make a record if I could, without being interrupted, if that's okay. He has mentioned that he's acknowledged that he's used this gun to protect property. He's also just acknowledged that he knows he can't do that. I am attempting to impeach him now with the prior August 10th incident, 15 days prior, involving the same gun, where he is threatening to use that gun to protect property. It goes...
He had the gun with him.
Your Honor, he is saying he wished he did so he could shoot people.
You know, there's a lot of difference between commenting about something when you haven't got a gun and threatening someone when you do.
You know, it's interesting, Your Honor, because the entire defense theory in this case is Joseph Rosenbaum, who was unarmed.
I want you to tell me what the defense theory of the case is. May I
respond to what you just said, Your Honor? I'd like to respond to what you just said. I apologize, Madam Court Reporter, but I'd like to try and make a record without anyone interrupting me, if that's okay.
Despite the tension, Binger maintained composure, claiming that he had filed an other acts petition to introduce evidence.
I've admitted that kind of evidence in other trials when it's been appropriate. I didn't admit it in this case because, to me, what I've heard in this trial, and by the way, Mr. Richards absolutely correctly points out that just hours ago I said I had heard nothing in this trial to change any of my rulings. So why?
Testimony, Your Honor.
Pardon me?
That was before the defense testimony.
Don't get brazen with me. You knew very well. You know very well that an attorney can't go into these types of areas when the judge has already ruled without asking outside the presence of the jury to do so. So don't give me that. That's number one. Number two, this is propensity evidence. I said at the time that I made my ruling, and I'll repeat again now for you. I see no similarity.
Judge Schroeder lost his temper with the prosecutor, but in the heat of the moment, he mischaracterized the case without correction.
Isn't coming in. No matter what you think. Number two, I have to be concerned that with what Mr. Richards has said about the progress of the trial, and when you were I said you were over the line, close to or over the line on commenting on the defendant's pretrial silence, which is a well-known rule. I'm astonished that would have been an issue.
Shockingly, things get even worse as this predator cop does the unimaginable and has to be given a life sentence.
Count 28, in the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape, first degree, and punishment is set at 30 years.
This is Officer Daniel Holtzclaw, who was sentenced to 263 years in prison. Today we'll uncover the chilling story of his crimes and how he was ultimately exposed and brought to justice in the courtroom. Make sure to watch until the end, as the disturbing details will leave you stunned.
Do you recall putting your penis in her mouth?
I don't. I didn't see her
that
breast. I didn't see her breast.
It all began on the night of June 18, 2024, when Holtzclaw was heading home after completing his shift. That is when he conducted a traffic stop of a 57-year-old woman, Janie Ligon. During the stop, the officer made her lift her skirt and pull her pants down before forcing her to perform oral on him. The very next morning, Janie headed over to the Oklahoma Police Department, and as Holtzclaw came for his shift the next morning, he was greeted by detectives Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory for interrogation.
Tell me about that stop.
I was going westbound on Northeast 50th, probably a block just east of Lincoln. I see a red Grand Prix or Grand Am in my right lane, in the outside lane. I'm in the inside lane. The car swerves, and so at the time I'm thinking, okay, it's probably a drunk person, or maybe he got excited because they saw a cop. Made contact. It was a black female. Asked for license and insurance. Stated that she didn't have insurance. Gave me an ID.
Do you make traffic stops normally after work?
I don't, but in that case, I saw her swerve and whatnot, so
I mean, me, I don't.
Felt.
After I get off work.
I know. I mean, people, cops say that as have a, you know.
At the time of the stop, Holtzclaw had illegally turned off his GPS and patrol car computer, a clear violation of protocol. Detective Kim Davis quickly realized the seriousness of the situation and began investigating the alarming allegation.
Okay, so you got her out of the car?
Yes.
Okay. And put her in the back of your car?
Yes.
Okay. Any problems there?
No, she was cooperative. Didn't give me any problems or whatnot.
Did you run her on your MDT?
No, I didn't. All my stuff as far as that, because I didn't even call it in and say it was a traffic stop. My computer was off and everything as well.
Did you shut it off?
I just shut it off.
Work?
Yeah.
When you put her in your car, did you pat search her?
When I came around, I was like, lift up your shirt. Is there anything on you? Anything as far as your waistband or anything like that? She said no. And then I put her in the vehicle and went from there. Asked her everything.
Did your hands go on her at all?
I backhanded her on as far as the side.
Where on her body? Tell me. You backhanded?
Her waist, and the back portion. I didn't touch her butt or anything, but the back portion of the waist. And then she lifted it up like right here, and there's nothing.
Did she lift it up like this?
No.
Okay. So she never, like, went, ooh, nothing, exposed her breast or anything like that?
She asked me if I was like, no, it's okay.
The Predator officer appeared quite calm and composed, having no clue that his dirty secrets were about to be exposed.
Saying it was the hip, the side, not the section.
What about right here?
No.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
They can tuck a gun
That's
right here.
why I asked to lift it up.
Oh, so she just kind of showed you her belly?
Right.
Okay. Well, was there anything, an accidental touch, anything?
If she thought it, when I pat searched her, but it was nothing as far as, I felt like I would do anything as far as anything like that. And for my safety, I just checked to see the weapons or anything.
And
to make clear, I didn't touch her butt, but the waist side and whatnot. If you would like me to do it for me to show you.
No, and I'm fine with it, and you have every right to do that. She's saying that you made her lift up her shirt, and when she lifted up her shirt, she exposed her breasts.
No.
You'll be shocked to learn that this wasn't the first time Officer Daniel Holtzclaw had abused his authority to intimidate and assault women. A multitude of black women soon came forward with similar allegations, exposing the true extent of this predator's crime.
She said, she said she was doing this. When you said, is there anything inside your bra? And she was, well, no, I don't have anything like that. Did she do that?
Yeah, she did, but I didn't look or anything like that.
Right.
And then she was like, do you want me to show you? I was like, no.
She said when she said, do you want me to show you? You said, yeah, and she went,
woo. No, I didn't.
But could she have been, woo, flashing you? And now you don't want to tell me because you're afraid you're going to get in trouble?
No, when I told her no, I said no.
Then she didn't go, yeah,
No.
you know, because sometimes drunk girls are
having a good time.
Yeah, but I'm asking you if she flashed you anyways.
I didn't see her. I didn't see her
no
breast. I didn't see her breast.
What about pants?
Nothing in her pants as far as that concerned. She was wearing tight jeans. So
She said she pulled them down.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see her pull them down?
I didn't see her pulling down pants. Did not see
You did
her
not see her
breasts.
boobies.
No, I did not see her breasts.
So she's saying you shined your light on her.
I did not see her.
Where do you keep your flashlight?
The left side right here. Right.
Detective Kim didn't hold on to the questions and laid out the allegations made by Janie. Shortly after, the other detective collected a swab to obtain Holtzclaw's DNA, as the woman had already submitted to a sexual assault exam.
Maybe a little bit over 5 minutes. Maybe like 5 minutes if.
So you're with her for 10 minutes. Did she say
Nervous.
why she's crying?
Says police officer and whatnot, and I'm just nervous because I got stopped by a police officer. So I'm like, calm down, everything's fine. And then, so I think maybe with the fact that she had no STL, maybe she was nervous as well too. And then so.
Ralph, what time is it on your watch? I turned my phone off. So.
I've got 4:50, sorry, 4:47. What I've got. So do you usually do traffic stops on going home, or what was?
I don't, like I said
that?
before, I rarely don't. I usually try to get home because I'm tired of them and shit.
Well, and are you a big DUI worker?
When I first started coming out, I did. But not really at the end now, to be honest with you.
I usually, if I see somebody swarming, I'm whoop, the other way.
And that's what a lot of officers do too, so.
Well, Daniel, this is kind of one of the things that we kind of bring you in here to see how truthful you are.
Right.
Now you need to kind of think of a few different things here.
Okay.
Okay. We pulled up a lot of video around that area after these allegations.
Okay.
Okay. She also had a SANE exam, which you know what that consists of.
Right.
There's a reason why we wanted your buckles. So if we go off the video and watch that, you're still going to stick with your story.
Yes, sir. As far as that,
Do you recall putting penis in her mouth?
I don't.
Would you recall that if you did it?
If I did it, yeah.
The officers had also gathered some CCTV footage of the incident, and although nothing was clear, it showed that Holtzclaw's car had been there for over 25 minutes, which raised several red flags.
We knew you were on that stop.
Right.
We knew you were there. And we can watch a whole lot of actions being performed while you were there. Okay? And that's why she was trying to give you every out on the whole booby thing.
Right.
But any reason why your penis would be out?
No.
But if we say we didn't do it, we didn't do it, we didn't do it, and then the DNA comes back and says he did it, then we have a huge problem.
Right.
Okay. On the video, are we going to see her boobies?
Shouldn't see her boob. See her boob.
Okay. Are we going to see her pull her pants down?
I didn't see her pull her pants out.
Are we going to see your penis out?
Nope.
Are we going to see your penis go in her mouth?
No.
Are we going to get any DNA to that?
No.
Shortly after, Detective Gregory dropped another bomb on Holtzclaw. Just a month ago, 43-year-old Terry Morris told the cops the same officer had found a crack pipe in her car and had threatened her with jail. He then asked her to expose herself and give him oral sex.
Probably not necessarily going to remember the name, but her name is Terry Morris. Okay, black female. Supposedly you promised her a ride to the city rescue mission. Does this ring a bell?
No.
She thought you ran her for warrants. Was it clicking? Drove her around.
No. Name doesn't, I don't recall a name like that.
Okay, but she's claiming the same thing. The exact same thing. And here again, for whatever reason, things are pointing at you again. Traffic stop, not logged in, all that stuff. Okay. How about any stops of a person just walking, even just downtown? Anywhere downtown?
No. I don't, in Spring Lake, I don't go downtown. Besides if I go to Classen, and not Classen, but Western and Maine to Valero's. To
Or the jail.
Or jail.
Or headquarters, property.
Right.
And you just don't remember doing any of those type of stops?
No.
Not in the last month or so?
No.
Do you run everybody that you come in contact with?
Majority of the time.
But you didn't run old girl this morning?
The 50th.
50th in Lincoln.
No, I didn't. I didn't run her.
The other girl that he's talking about is kind of making the same allegations, and that's weird.
Yeah, that's
doesn't look good. I mean,
that's
it doesn't
weird.
look. Yeah, it doesn't look good. So, no, I don't.
Holtzclaw denied any connection to Terry, but a pattern was emerging, targeting black, poor women with legal troubles, and the list was growing.
What to think? Would you take a polygraph?
Yeah, if you want to take a polygraph.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a solution. Do you know how slow DNA is?
I don't. I do not.
Slow.
When you went home, was anybody home?
My girlfriend was home.
Do you live with her?
Huh? No, she doesn't. She just stayed.
Did you get laid?
Messed around, yeah.
What's messed around?
I guess.
We were all adults.
We almost had sex, and she was tired.
What'd you do?
So my penis went around her vagina, and then maybe went a little bit in, and then she pushed me off and said, "No, we don't want to. I'm tired." I was like, "Okay."
That's kind of mean to let it get that far and then stop.
So that's when you got home?
That's when I got home.
The detectives then started asking the officer some personal questions, which would eventually help them in the long run.
How often do you have
about once a day, if that.
You guys have sex once a day?
Yeah.
How old are you?
27.
Well, yeah.
How much you jerk?
Maybe once a day.
So you sex once a day and masturbate once a day?
Yeah.
What'd you do when you got shot down at home today? Usually you got to relieve that.
Right.
I know.
That was before work. That happened before work.
You masturbated before work?
Yeah.
The detective returned to the topic knowing that she wouldn't be leaving soon. Despite the hour-long interrogation, Officer Holtzclaw remained calm and composed, showing no signs of desperation or anger.
If she goes like this, well, she's going to be looking right at you.
Okay. But it was just talking.
Let me ask you this, did you ever get a hard when you were talking to her? Because she could have...
I don't think
these
I got...
pants don't fit the greatest,
Right.
and if you get a I'm going to be able to tell you got a
Right. And I'm pretty positive I didn't get a hard...
Didn't get a hard on when you talked to her? Okay. Did your pants come unzipped, unbuttoned, anything while you were standing right there?
No.
CSI is processing your car right now.
Right.
And when we stepped out, they found some pubic hairs right in here. Could they be yours?
No, that's not... I didn't pull my penis out. I didn't do anything right there.
Did she?
No.
But do you think they could be?
No, it's not. No. Nothing of mine.
Your pubes couldn't be?
No.
Right there?
No.
There was now shocking evidence gathering against the officer, and by the end of this week, he would be facing rape accusations from 8 different women, including a 17-year-old minor.
You sure she just didn't flash you?
I can't... She did not... I want to say I can't recall, but I'm pretty positive she didn't flash me. She went like this, but nothing as far as I'm going like crazy looking.
Lifting the shirt.
No.
How far did she lift it?
When she lifted it up first, when I patted her down, she was like right here to her stomach line.
Did you see her belly?
Maybe some fat rolled or something, I don't know, but nothing
Right,
like
but, I mean, could you see skin?
Yeah, I saw skin, yeah.
You like older women?
I don't.
How old's your girlfriend?
She's 25.
Okay.
What's the oldest lady you've slept with?
Maybe 29.
You ever slept with a black woman?
I have. In high school, I have.
Okay.
Why would she make? Because when a woman says something like this, and they go through a SANE exam, and they get, you didn't give her a ticket, so she's not getting out of a ticket. You didn't arrest her, because we get those when they go to jail. I've been raped. Work those stupid things because they think they're going to get out of jail.
Right.
The detectives had no reason to doubt the woman. She had nothing to gain and wasn't even ticketed during the traffic stop. The odds were stacked against Holtzclaw, and he had little to defend himself.
Anyway, those pubes are going to be yours.
No, we're not. Please.
I know, we're going to test it. It just takes, anyway, your skin cells are going to be anywhere on her mouth.
No.
Skin cells from your fingers.
No.
Did you touch her body anywhere other than with the back of your hand pat searching her?
Just pat searched her and that was about it. Didn't touch her face or anything. Right.
Because if the tests come back, you ain't coming back in here.
Because we have a woman that says about, basically being sexually assaulted.
Right.
Okay? And we're calling it by force and all that. Big difference between that and a hookup.
Right. Nothing else.
But when she was standing, did she try to pull her pants down?
No.
Did she do, you said she kind of did like this. Did she ever do anything down here?
No.
You said you take the lie detector test.
Right.
Do you have any extra job? Is there a time when you can't take a lie detector test?
No.
You're saying about 15-minute traffic stop. How long do you usually take on traffic stop, just on average?
Maybe 20 minutes.
It was shocking how Holtzclaw stayed calm, despite being asked questions that would anger most officers. He kept denying everything, hoping his badge would protect him again.
20 minutes. Now that's going to be some 800 time, right?
800, searching the car in detail, all of that.
Okay, so doing all of that, all the running, waiting in line, and even on a search. Now, the question I have is we got a lapse of time here, so I'm kind of get a better handle on where the time went. You're talking about 15 minutes, no 800, no running on the computer, you shut it down. And you said it was just a quick little search of the car. Where's the rest of that time?
Just talking to her.
About what?
Just see where you're going and trying to get her to confess, are you drunk or not? Like, are you been drinking? Because I could smell it when I was in the car, but I can't really get it.
What if she said, yes, I'm drunk?
I didn't hear a lot of drunk questions, like how much
have you been drinking? Mainly it's just have you been drinking, try to get her confessed, see anything inside that juice.
Okay, right there, those questions maybe took 40 seconds. 15 minutes?
And you said 5 at the car. So then we got 10 of a lot of questions.
Right.
Okay. I mean, you tell me I wasn't there. I mean, obviously I don't have any audio.
And that's what I'm saying. Roughly on a traffic stop take about 20 minutes.
Time was a key piece of evidence. Holtzclaw didn't issue a ticket or run her name, but spent 15 minutes talking to her. Something was clearly off, and the detectives were closing in.
How could you take 15 minutes on that?
Just talking. I must have been talking. So.
I can't see her wanting to talk if she's crying and asking if you're going to and all this. I don't see her being real forthcoming with conversation.
Whether my questions or whatnot, that's it.
I mean, you don't seem, I don't know how you were out there, but just kind of talking with you. I mean, you seem real laid back and everything like that. I've never got the impression of just kind of an angry type cop. We know some.
So you don't think 15 minutes was too long on that traffic stop?
No,
and nothing sexual on during that 15 minutes?
Nothing sexual.
Detective Kim left the room, leaving Holtzclaw alone for over 10 minutes. When she returned, she had proof of the first of many lies that he had told.
I just talked to Karen.
Okay.
She said she was asleep when you got home and you did not try to have sex, and you did not have sex.
Did try to have sex.
She said you didn't. And I asked her, could you have been asleep? And you had kind of, no, and she said no. You did not try to have sex.
As much as I don't want to involve her, I tried to have sex with her and she was asleep. Carrie goes to sleep pretty early, about 9, 10 at the late.
Okay, but she would know if you tried. I'm a woman.
I know.
And my husband comes home in the middle of the night and I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been asleep. You said you twirled around her vagina.
I did.
And you put it in a little bit and then she said, I'm tired. No.
I did.
She would remember that to tell me.
Shoot. Maybe.
She said you did not try to have sex.
The officer's actions really weakened his case, as he was now caught lying about the very first statement he made about that night.
I don't know what to say. I mean, because it just looks like I just caught you in a lie, and now I don't know what to believe.
I'm telling you.
I don't know what to believe because you tell me this, I go to verify it. She tells me the opposite, and now I'm wondering what you're telling the truth about.
Maybe because she doesn't know what the heck's going on.
No, she doesn't. I didn't tell her.
And I'm glad, but detectives calling her, any other officer asking her a question like that.
I know.
She made me scared. I'm telling you, I try to ask who's Carrie, my girlfriend.
She is going to remember your wing twirling around her hoo-ha. You remember that. I'm sorry, I don't care how much of a sleeper you are. You remember because it pisses you off in the middle of the night and you go, are you serious? Don't bother me with that.
The interrogation ended with Holtzclaw being placed on administrative leave and ordered to surrender his uniform, badge, and gun. His uniform was immediately sent for DNA testing, a crucial step in the investigation.
Looks like you're gonna need to, unless you want to keep the shirt on. I don't know. I don't know if this shirt's gonna be big enough for you here. There you go, boy. Why don't you go ahead and get dressed then?
I need to tell you what's going on. It's crazy. I said, I'm basically on my way home, and I'd like to talk to you. What's going on? It's crazy.
Shortly after this, Detective Kim tracked down 6 more women who made the same claims against Holtzclaw. One of them was identified as 17-year-old Adara Gardner, who claimed that the officer assaulted her on her mother's porch. Shockingly, her DNA was found on the opening of the zip of the officer's pants, which were taken in for investigation. This almost sealed the deal, as he was ultimately facing 36 charges, including battery, assault, oral and stalking.
1. Battery. We, the jury, impaneled and sworn in the above entitled cause, do upon our oaths find as follows. Defendant is guilty of the crime of battery and set punishment at 8 years. Count 2, procuring lewd exhibition. Not guilty of the crime of procuring exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of battery. Count 8, defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral assault and punishment is set at 20 years. Count 9, rape in the degree. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree.
Holtzclaw pleaded not guilty, claiming the women were motivated by monetary gain. However, on December 10, 2015, after a lengthy trial, the jury delivered their verdict. A jury of 12 white people were selected, who found Holtzclaw guilty on 18 charges. The officer kept weeping throughout the conviction as if he hadn't done anything wrong.
Count 16, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy. Punishment is set at 16 years. Count 17, forcible oral sodomy. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy. Count 18, procuring exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of procuring exhibition. Count 28, rape degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape first degree and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 29, rape first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the first degree and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 30, battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of battery and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 31, in the second degree by instrumentation. Defendant is guilty of the crime of rape in the second degree and punishment is set at 12 years.
Holtzclaw was fired from the police department, with the chief of police calling it the worst abuse of power in his 36-year career. Leaving the courtroom in tears, Holtzclaw repeatedly said, "I didn't do this."
Mr. Holtzclaw, this jury finds you guilty of the various counts You will be remanded to the custody of the Oklahoma County Sheriff for formal sentencing set January 21st, 2016 at 10 o'clock a.m.
Your Honor, I'd ask to hold the jury.
All right, you have a seat.
Eventually, he was sentenced to 263 years in prison, and since then, both the Oklahoma Court of Appeals and the United States Supreme Court have denied an appeal to uphold the prison sentence. Well, this brings us to the end of this video. The case drew extensive media coverage and sparked protests across the city and outside the courtroom, reporting the poor black women who had been brutally abused. It was shocking how a law enforcement officer used his authority to commit such heinous crime. Thankfully, he will be spending the rest of his life behind bars. If you agree, please support us by liking this video. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out these moments when corrupt cops were caught illegally arresting innocent people.
Your vehicle is not like that. Sit down. No. You sit up. Get on the ground.